We in Tamil Nadu love Telugu and call Telugu as Sundara Telugu. Bharati, the famous poet, described Telugu as a Sundara Telugu, beautiful Telugu. And our great poet, Manonmaniyam Sundaranar, he called it Kali Telugu, enjoyable Telugu. And nearly 1/3 of the population of Tamil Nadu as Telugu as their mother tongue. Though they have become Tamilized and become 100% Tamils now. So Telugu is not a strange language. Instead, we consider it as our sister language. The only thing is that due to various reasons, I could not learn Telugu, though I can understand a little what you talk in Telugu. Mr. Chandrasekhar has given you an elaborate version of the negative features. There is no positive feature in it. Negative features of National Education Policy 2020. Before I begin my assigned topic, rewriting history, I make one or two statements on the NEP. A general statement. Friends, those students who assemble here belong to various social economic background. You could assemble here in one institution because of the initiatives taken by many. Because in the modern age we feel that education should be a leveler. It should help us to facilitate the eradication of disparities among the various segments. NEP is meant to regenerate disparities and would create social divisions further. We want social integration. As persons interested in social integration, we cannot accept anything which denies the opportunity of bridging the social gaps. So we'll have to not only oppose and resist NEP, we'll have to reject and destroy that NEP in the social interest and in the national interest. Due to the constraint of time, I will confine myself to the topic given to me, rewriting history. This rewriting history is the topic initiated by the union government, especially the BJP government. Ever since 2014, they have been insisting on rewriting history. They made two subjects as subjects of importance to be imported to the student community. One is history, another is culture. Sometimes people of different ideologies use different terminology. Here it is mentioned that reforms in higher education. We oppose it because this is not reform, but it is deforming the existing structure. Similarly, rewriting history is a very significant terminology. History, like any other field of knowledge, is always incomplete. There is always scope for expanding it, revising it. But here in history, they are not asking us to rewrite history, to reform history. But they do the things. The official dictators what to be taught us as history. Dictated history. They call it rewriting history. What is history is instructed to the teachers who are teaching history in the schools and colleges by the officials and by the politicians. They decide everything. And then they ask the teachers to give their dictum as history in the classrooms. And any social science cannot emanate from officialdom, because history is a very serious subject. By rewriting history, they mean tampering with history or distorting history. They want to distort history in order to create a different mindset in the society. That proposed mindset would destroy the very foundations of our modern Indian nationhood. It is not merely on the basis of our interest in the education that we are criticizing this rewriting, but we are interested in sustaining a nation created in 1950 through a movement, national movement, and through the efforts of the various patriots. The very foundations of the Indian nation is being subverted through the methodology they adopted, rewriting history. I quote two documents. One is the syllabus for UG program in history, circulated by University Grand Commission in 2021. University Grand Commission is not an academic body. It is an academic administrative body. The University Act did not give a mandate to it to frame curriculum or syllabi. That body is a quasi-governmental body. That UGC has no business to dictate, to formulate a syllabi for the students and teachers. There are universities to do the work, academic council to do the work, the boards of studies to do the work, where the subject experts will be the members. Instead of making the subject experts to dwell in the subject, the officials now dictate the academics to adopt what they stated earlier as history. If we accept it, if we fail to resist it, what will happen? The very foundation of our nationhood will be destroyed. There will be no India. There will be only an imaginary, mythological Bharat. In the NCERT book, the committee suggested the replacing of the word India by Bharat. Outwardly, nothing strange in it. Sometimes we call India as Bharat. Even in our constitution, in part 2, there is a mention, India, that is Bharat. But here, the attempt is to give up India in every place and to mention it only as Bharat. What is the significance? Even today we have a chapter in our UG and PG program in all the colleges where history is taught. The idea of India. Idea of India. The UGC syllabus gives one paper as a compulsory paper with the title Idea of Bharat, not Idea of India. When you try to teach idea of Bharat, there are references given in that particular curriculum. When you explain India, the idea of India, you explain it a vast nation with different ethnic groups, different linguistic groups, different cultural groups, different religious groups. So the idea of India makes India a country of diversity. You recognize India as a diverse nation. That is why Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru stated that India is a country in which we find unity in diversity. We are diverse. Linguistically, there are different people. There are 22 of the languages mentioned in our constitution. So different groups persist. Now the idea of India gives you a plural India, a diverse India, where every language is given the same respect, equitable respect. Every ethnic group is given the same respect. Every religion is treated on par with other religions. So we can live in peace together in fraternal atmosphere, conditions. But the idea of Bharat, when you come to the UGC syllabus, the details are there. You can understand Bharat only through Sanskrit, only through mythology. Where from you got the name Bharat, where you got the name India. Now the ruling party, people say that India was a name given to us by a foreigner. So whatever is foreign is inimical. Reject everything foreign. The paper that they use and the software they use all emanated from the foreign countries. They don't reject it. Through that media, they say that India was a name given to us by foreigners. Even there, they make a mistake. India was derived from the Indian word Sindhu. Sindhu is there in Prakriti and Samskriti. Sindhu is mentioned as Sabda Sindhavam in Rig Veda, the land of 7 rivers. It is of Indian origin. But those people who have learned entire political science did not know the origin of India. They say that India is a name given by the foreigner. So we reject it. Bharat is our name. Do you find Bharat as a name of a land in any of the Sanskrit Vedas, Smritis, Shrutis, Idihasas, Puranas, or in Sanskrit inscriptions? There is no mention of Bharat as a land in any of the Sanskrit literature. Yet they say that you can understand the idea of Bharat through Sanskrit literature. Some 5 divisions are given there. 21 books are mentioned there. 11 books are Sanskrit. And the remaining books are English ones translated from Sanskrit. So Sanskrit becomes the only language of India. What about Telugu? What about Tamil? What about Oriya? What about Marathi? What about Bengali? They don't become India. So you accept Sanskrit as the superior language and reconcile yourself to subservient language positions. And they say that our Bharat culture, why you call it Bharat? Bharata was the name of some groups. Their number may not exceed even 1,000. Mentioned in the Rig Veda as one of the subclans of the Aryans, ruling a small territory in the Satluj region. But there were other groups, Yadus, Purus, Trisyus, so many other groups. Why you select this Bharata? Then there is a Bharata, the brother of Rama, who was running a fake government with the chapel sandals of Rama on the throne. He was never a de facto ruler. Can a country be named after a regent? Then you come across Bharata, the son of Tushyanda, through Shakuntala. And their marriage was a questionable one. They never had a ritual marriage. No Purohita was there. No ceremony was conducted. It was a Gandharva marriage. So Tushyanta conveniently forgot. Perhaps he could have conducted so many Gandharva marriages earlier. He forgot this one. As a result, there was some problem that was resolved later on, and the son Bharata was made, recognized as the successor. But in the historical records or even in Puranic records, there is no evidence that Bharata ruled even the North India. He ruled only the Gangetic region, a small territory. There is no proof that any of the Sanskrit rulers mentioned there ruled the entire Gangetic region. So there was no emperor with the name Bharata. There is a Jain Bharata, the grandson of Rishabhadeva, who was ruling Kailasa region, which is now in China. So what is the justification for naming it Bharata? The only thing is that don't accept India as a plural country. You see through India only through Sanskrit version, and they reject the other languages, other cultural groups. And in the making history, the Gangetic kingdoms are magnified. Gupta Empire, Golden Age Empire. Gupta Empire, I tell you friends, you are in Andhra Pradesh, your earliest empire was Satavahana Empire, which flourished from the last days of Ashoka until 400 AD. More than 600 years, that empire flourished. It had a wider area from Arabian Sea to Bay of Bengal, from Vindhyas to the borders of Tamil Nadu. They were a maritime power. Their ships ventured up to Rome and their ships went to China. There was a prosperous empire. And the early Sadhavaganas were Buddhist. Excellent architecture, sculpture were produced by them. The Nagarjuna, for example, they were all produced by it. Even the Ajanta Ellora caves, in the Indian history textbooks, they are mentioned as the glories of Gupta. Guptas has nothing to do with that. Ajanta and Ellora. This is in Maratha region, which was then ruled by the Sadhavaganas, Andhras. The earliest cave belonged to 2nd century BC, when it was ruled by Sadhavagana. So there were 34 caves. Only 2 of them were created during the days of Guptas, but the territory was not a Guptan territory. It was beyond the jurisdiction of Guptas. And it took 900 years for the Buddhist monks to create such a marvelous the cave temples, cave residence, the viharas, there in the Ajanta Ellora places. But textbooks mention there, they belong to the Guptan glory. Why they fail to mention Sadhavaganas as the creators of such a marvelous Buddhist structure? Why they do not mention it? And Tamil Nadu has a hoary past. There were Tamil kingdoms, Tamil art, Tamil architecture. Why they do not mention it? The Sadhavana Empire was more than 3 times of the size of Gupta Empire. And Sadhavaganas once invaded the Gangetic region and even plundered Padaliputra. And the Sadhavaganas had no place in the Bharat history. The Hoysalas had no place. They were the marvelous rulers of Karnataka. They had no place in the Bharat history. The Guptas who ruled only a small region around Padaliputra are glorified. Why? Because their age was the first age when Sanskrit was adopted as an official language. And when the yajnas were revived after some 600 years, revival of yajnas, and that is glorified. What about the social order? Fakyan and Yuvangswang mentioned about the condition of the poorer people. The Chandalas, how they were treated. They were not allowed to walk in the streets. They were not allowed to choose their profession. They were to remove the corpses. They were to clean the cities in a given hours. And even for a small mistake on their part, they could be beheaded. It was not rule of law. It was rule of jati, rule of varna. For the same crime, different punishments for different people. This is enacted in the Golden Age. Now, the Bharatiya culture, Bharatiya history states that Ashoka was a tyrant. Because of Ashoka, his embracing Buddhism, India declined. And he persecuted 15,000 Ajivikas in Bengal. He beheaded them. And because of his Buddhism, the treasury became emptied. Hariprasad Shastri, Mahodpadhyaya, a Sanskrit scholar, has written that this period was a tyrannical period because of one basic fact. Ashoka employed Dhamma Mahamatras to preach a common ethics for all the people. How can common people can do the work? And Ashoka committed the crime of Vyavahara Samata, Danda Samata, administrative equity, and then in punishment, same penal code for all the people. Ashoka, through his officials, enabled rule of law. According to this Bharatiya history, that was a sin committed by him. The punishment should be based on their place, the birth, not based on their human nature. So this Bharatiya history is being imposed as the history of the nation. Are we not a nation? We are a nation, a federal nation. Different cultures contributed to it. The North did not contribute temple culture. Only South created temple culture. In the North, Buddhist Viharas, Shaidyas, they were created by Ashoka and his successors. How many oldest temples could be found in the North? Who created this structure? Only the non-Aryans. And our people, Sadhavakanas and their followers created here. The Tamil kingdoms created there. So, the others were made insignificant. Only one sectarian group is projected as the nation. How can we accept it? Nation should ensure us equal dignity. Are we assured equal dignity? If history gives us no dignity, then there is not history at all. History, I tell you, is not an instrument of seeking pride. They say that pride and patriotism should decide our history. We should take pride in the Vedic age. And that should be our patriotism. And that should decide the Indian future. History is not meant for pride and patriotism. When we call one person as a conqueror, you forget thousands of others who were butchered by them. How many people lost their lives for making a king a successful ruler? For creating a temple, how many peasants lost their lands? How many free labor was extracted? How many taxes were levied on people? So when you look at the history, don't look history as the history of princes or history of priests. Our concern in the democratic age is that history must be a tool of knowing the truth about people's progress through the ages. That progress is not given there. History is a tool of assessing our progress from our animal stage to the present stage. We might have committed mistakes. That mistakes must be recorded. It should be revealed so that we will not repeat that mistake in future. So history is not meant for pride seeking. History is meant for knowing the truth. When the truth is something different, they say, this is not history. What we say history should be mentioned. Kautilya is a historical figure. Friends, I tell you that Kautilya is not a historical figure at all. There are too many Kautilyas in history. The contributor of Arthashastra, he never mentions the name in the book as Kautilya. The name given there is Vishnugupta. And whether that Vishnugupta was the minister of Chandragupta Maurya, that is another lie there. Chandragupta Maurya had no minister as Kautilya or Chanakya. This story was fabricated 700 years after the death of Chandragupta Maurya, in the days of Guptas by Vishakhadatta. So all the glory should go to the priestly class. But for Samudragupta, but for Chanakya, there would not have been a Chandragupta Maurya. But the fact is that the Greek contemporary records are there. The Greeks are written about the Padaliputra, Chandragupta Maurya. None of the Greek records mention Chanakya, Kautilya. And that Arthashastra, which was discovered in 1907, does not mention Maurya, does not mention Chandragupta. And these people say that he is not trying to write a history of Magadha, that is why he did not mention it. But he wrote the names of other kingdoms. He wrote the names of other capitals. He wrote the names of some other people too. If he was the minister and if he was existing during the Mauryan period, why he did not mention either Chandragupta Maurya or his own activities? So here we are given the mythologies, stories, fabricated materials as history. Now they say that we had a great past. We had a great past. They did not accept the achievements of the Western world. They did not distinguish discovery with inventions. According to them, all modern inventions they're already there in Vedas, already there in Bhagavad Gita. So these inventions were repetitions. They were copied by others. Such foolish things stupid things are made as historical statements now. Are you going to accept this? If you accept, what will happen? We have only one source of cultural development, one source of philosophical development. That is only the Vedic stream. We don't have anything else. Buddha was against Vedas. Buddha was against the yajnas. He was a Sramana. He rejected all these beliefs. He openly declared that nobody could be claimed divine on the basis of his birth. Only his deeds would distinguish from others. That divinity by birth was rejected. Bharatiya, that particular concept compel you to accept Brahmins are divine by birth. Kshatriyas are subservient. In the Sanskrit literature itself, no king had a right to make law. No king had a legislative power. He could only enforce dharma, which was explained by the Purohita, Brahmana. A kingdom without legislative power, how can you call it a sovereign power? And such things are glorified. We are in a democratic age. We want our languages, our cultures to be respected equal with others. We want to live together as equally respectable citizens. We are for rule of law. We are for federal structure. We are for pluralism. We are for liberalism. We are for tolerance. So this foundation is going to be destroyed by the new approach in the garb of rewriting history. No history board of studies is doing this. Somebody else is doing somewhere else, and we are asked to adopt it. History will mold your mind. The social psyche is determined by history. They are now trying to give the mythology as history and ask you to believe it. Today I found in a news that the management studies, the tenets of management studies as found in Bhagavad Gita, is made a subject for management studies in Allahabad University. Lord Krishna was an expert in management studies. Where did he his MBA? We do not know. But it is given there. He was delivering a lecture in the battlefield. His concern was to make Arjuna to fight and win the battle. And he was teaching him the niceties of the management studies. We are asked to believe it. And those people never mentioned any sadhanas, even their belated interest in Thiruvalluvar's Kural did not make them include Tirukural as a part of the study. It has so many things that can be used for management studies. They don't consider it. So, the sectarian approaches, sectarian interest, which has been exploiting us for thousands of years, wanted to be revived, regenerated by the ruling clique. If we allow this, we will lose our future. Our future generation would be enslaved perpetually. We want a free society. We do not want to be subservient to any particular sect at any cost. So the rewriting history is a mischievous one. That is why NCERT, some portions are deleted. Mughal, they were all invaders. Who are not invaders? The Aryans were invaders. The Persians were invaders. The Persian immigrants were there. You are very closer with them. You facilitate the business activities today. Are they not foreigners by origin? India is a land of foreigners. India is a land of invaders, immigrants, intruders. But today we are living together. Conveniently, you reject the Mughal period as a period of foreign invaders. But the Mughal period introduced a tailored clothes. The pajamas, the kurtas, they were introduced by them. The Mughal period introduced the biryani. You accept it. Transformation take place. Our concern is that what positive transformation occurred during that period. It is very easy to demonize the British rule. Everything evil was done by the British. The British did do some evil things. One evil thing according to them is that they introduced rule of law. That is the worst evil the British has introduced. They wanted rule of men to prevail. When Nandakumar was hanged during the time of Warren Hastings for having committed forgery, what was the defensive argument? In India, illiteracy is rampant and the Brahmins could not be executed. It is Brahmahatya. So our tradition, even if the Brahmin committed murder, Pushyamitra Sunga, murder, he could not be executed. Is the tuft can be cut off or he can be exiled. He could not be hanged because that is Brahmahatya. There is no remedy for Brahmahatya. And the British had no respect for Brahmahatya. They executed him for the forgery. That was the issue that was taken up by it. Not our poor farmers' executions by the tax collectors. That had not become the issue there. So history, somebody is demonized. Somebody is made heroes. Heroes and villains, how we are going to adjudge? When the common people are benefited by activity of one particular person, he becomes our hero, but he becomes their villain. What is beneficial to the society at large? Social transformation. This is the essence of history. How far we have progressed. We are still some in ways in a backward condition. How to promote our interest, how to get modernized, how to become more civilized, how to become a respectable global citizen. That is our concern. So don't take this rewriting history a minor issue. It is a major issue. If we don't react to it in an appropriate way, we may lose our dignity, our existence in future. Thank you.
உன் கடவுளை விட உன் சாஸ்திரத்தை விட உன் முன்னோரை விட உன் வெங்காயம் விளக்கமாத்தை விட உன் அறிவு பெருசு அதை சிந்தி